Welcome, everybody. You ever feel like your life is just too complicated? There's too much family drama going on. You don't know who you love sexually and who you're related to. Sometimes it's both.
Welcome to the attic.
It's VC's Pieces. Welcome to the cabin.
Welcome to the cabin. It's a new time.
We are far from Foxworth Hall.
We though? We are not, because we're still in Virginia.
It's true.
So, dear listener, child, you sat through the whole Doll and Blammer series, and get ready. Y'all need to get ready.
Because this shit's about to get heavy.
For the family that we know, the Casteels. And on this time in our lives, we're discussing the first book in the Casteel family saga, titled Heaven. And if you're ready for the synopsis, here it be.
Here it be. I'm going to read it to you. Of all the folk in the mountain shacks, the Casteels were the lowest. The scum of the hills. Heavenly Casteel was the prettiest, smartest girl in the backwoods, despite her ragged clothes and dirty face. Despite a father meaner than 10 vipers. That's an amount. Despite her weary stepmother, who worked her like a mule. For her brother Tom and the little ones, Heaven clung to her pride and her hopes. Someday they'd get away and show the world that they were decent, fine, and talented, worthy of love and respect. Then Heaven's stepmother ran off, and her wicked, greedy father had a scheme. A vicious scheme that threatened to destroy the precious dream of heaven and the children forever.
Alright, now, let me tell y'all that this book, my first note for Heaven just says, The Willies.
Yeah, the Willies.
This takes place in the fictional region thereof called, colloquially as, The Willies. What in Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter, Dolly Parton, living in the holler, Cletus the slack-jawed yokel fucking banjo plucking, sister fucking, fuck. The Willies.
Well, because the wind and the Willies.
The wind is in my willy.
The wind is in the Willies.
So we are in the Willies, and I am already calling back to this summary where it's like the worst and most hated family. Fucking why?
I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know why.
They kind of say like Paul's 5 brothers was in the jail for the murders? Question mark?
For the crimes.
For the crimes that we don't know. Never is it established why they're the most hated of the... There's mountain folk,
yeah,
and there's town folk, and I think that also there's a distinction later on that there's mountain folk, valley folk, and townspeople.
Yes?
I
thought valley folk were townsfolk.
I think there's even more delineation later.
Is Winterow a real place, by the way?
Who cares? I don't think so.
Write us and let us know if Winterow is real.
Is it real? You know what? Yeah. Okay.
That's the town that it takes place in.
So we are in the Virginia mountains, I believe. West Virginia. West Virginia, close to Foxworth Hall, maybe. Because also,
Virginia
see, I see your face.
Virginia are different spots, though, right?
It depends on where the Civil War was.
Fair.
Civilly. So we open at the Willies in the they live in a motherfucking goddamn shack.
They live in a one-room cabin with some, like, curtains.
There's Pa and Ma's big brass bed.
Yeah.
That they rustle upon.
Yeah, to make... All the Casteels are made in a bed.
Yeah, woof. We're not even there yet. I'll tell you when we get there, which is right now. So, we open on Heaven. Main character, Heaven. Middle name of Lee.
Heavenly Casteel. The eve of her 10th birthday.
It is the eve of 10. And Pa, I believe, he's physically abusive. Verbally abusive.
I don't think he's... Well,
I feel like they said he swung his fists around.
Yeah, but mostly he ignores her.
Her,
treats her like
yes,
she's an
but
idiot. Everyone
also
else.
screams verbal abuse at everybody,
Yeah.
I believe.
Like you do.
Like you do when you live in a shack. It's an angry time in your life if you are shack living. And there's Granny and Grandpa. Mm-hmm. And Granny takes heaven out. Okay, so here's what I wrote about this. She is like in the night with whistling winds, and she's like, "You gotta come with me. We're gonna go on a fucking hike."
Yeah, like she's like, I knew you awake, child. Follow me. No one can know. Somehow, just like all the other, this is like a standard VC trope, is that things are going on that other people just don't notice. Like, everyone's like
one room. They're sleeping on pallets,
right
bumpled
next to
up
each other.
together,
and somehow
up.
they had the full conversation and sneak out of the cabin and back with no one noticing.
And young Heavenly is like, "Why are we here, Granny? Why can't you tell me at home?" And she's like, "I have to give you life-altering news that you will forget unless I tell you in the graveyard."
Yeah.
So it's not life-altering. Wouldn't you remember it for it?
Yep. It's true.
So
Also, Granny's like barely over 50, and she is apparently a gnarled hag.
She is because mountain living's hard.
I know, but it's just like her hair is like white and to her
Whispery. It's whispery.
waist, and like she's completely hunched over.
Yeah, she perhaps is even a dowager of some type. And now what's the news? What's the shakakaka?
She's like, here, look at this headstone. That's your real mom. That's why your pa hates you. And she's like, shit, I'm 10. Wait,
Oh, fuck.
this lady who's my mom isn't my mom, and my mom's in the ground. And what? She was 14.
Yeah. Okay. So we're here again, Virginia Cleo. Now, it says Angel, like beloved wife. Mm-hmm. That's her ma. Her ma's real name was Lee, and she was an angel from up to Boston town, and that's why heaven's always been different, been a little refined.
Yep, somehow. She didn't know, but she knew.
Some fucking. She has refinement. This is some eugenic shit. Whoa. Breeding. Nature versus nurture.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So her real ma was a 14-year-old runaway from up Boston, Beantown, and meets Luke Casteel.
And they get married that day.
And they get married that day when she's 14 and he's 17. And I also wrote Jesus fucking Christ, a true Indian ancestor, because that's how they say he's so handsome because of his true Indian ancestor. Like, oh, fucking A. I don't know why.
That's nicer than...
That's so like your auntie on Facebook saying that she's like Cherokee with like a dream catcher. That's every time they mention like the true Indianness of him with his handsome black hair, his black Indian hair. It's like, oh my god. It was very meme to me.
Yeah, I mean, also it's written in the 80s, so I don't think anyone was using Native American or indigenous people's
things correctly.
Yeah, at all.
So she came to live in the mountains, and gosh, she was lovely, because even though she was Boston bred, she did not care one whiff that they were in the cabin, and Granny and Grandpa took to the floor then, so that they could make the babies in the bed.
Mm-hmm. Because all the Casteels are made in a bed.
Casteels is made in the bed, and not the floor.
Yep. You gotta have standards, you know. So Lee dies during her childbirth, or like right after she gives birth to Heaven. She's just like, name my baby Heaven.
I'm fucking dead over here.
And then dies, and then like right afterward, Paul marries his second wife, Sarah, who Heaven thought was her mom.
Teacher?
Yes.
Also, it says here, I wrote down what Granny said, men gets cravings. Physical cravings.
Nice.
So basically, Pa is fucking all the time.
All the time.
24/7.
Shirley's Place.
You wrote Shirley's Place.
Shirley's Place.
That's the whorehouse.
Yeah.
Basically. He goes to a whorehouse. Again, he impregnates Sarah, also 14. Mm-hmm. Also 14 to his 17. and she gives birth to Tom, and they lay them in the cradle together. Now, did you notice the thing that I noticed about Tom's birth?
Yeah, Luke married Sarah when Heaven was 2 months old and had Tom when she was 4 months old.
So, because of his physical cravings, he also impregnated her at that time.
Yeah, because, Heaven, Lee got kind of like big and clunky when she was pregos and didn't want the sex, so Paul went out to get the sex.
Yeah. So they were in the cradle together, thus their bond. Another V.C. Andrews gross bond between siblings, quote unquote. But my question is, like, what the fuck? Do they never, like, work this out with the math?
I guess they don't.
Do they believe themselves to be twins?
They're just like, oh, we're just really close in age. I think, well, she was 10 at the time that she found this out.
Right, but no one's supposed to know. No one's supposed to know she has a different mother.
I think everyone knows except for her. Oh, you mean like the other kid?
Because later on, Tom was like, oh, I found out and I didn't tell you. No, stop it. No.
I think
I need to know.
Fine.
I need to know, like, if they think they're twins or have the same birthday or if they don't understand gestation.
Oh, I think that at the time when they were like 10, no, they didn't. And then, they have other shit to worry about.
Like eating.
Like shitting outside.
Oh, they have an outhouse, by the way.
And, like, Fanny is too, like, caught up in her own shit to care about other people. And then the other siblings are too young, so.
About Fanny. So before we leave the graveyard, I also noted that Granny mentions that giving birth gave Sarah a mature bust line.
Yep. Which was an interesting thing.
A.K.A. Big Fat Milkers.
Big Fat Milkers. So Heaven's like, shit, I'm 10, that's a lot to unpack right now. And then her grandma's like, oh, by the way, here's his beautiful suitcase that was your own true ma's, and I've
just hidden somewhere in the shack.
Yeah, they're like, we had no room and nothing, and it was like, I totally hid this. Again, hiding in plain sight.
Wrapped in shawls.
Yep, all the shawls. And inside is like a beautiful doll and some of her mom's beautiful dresses, and Heaven's like, oh my god.
The beautiful doll that is made in it looks so, again, if we're gonna say this every time, again VC, the doll looks like Heaven if Heaven was blonde.
Yep.
So that means that it was her mother's face.
Yep.
And so we know Lee's blonde, but Heaven has the, like, Casteel dark
Casteel hair.
Dark Casteel hair. Do you have any, before we move on to the Chirins and their schoolings, did you have anything else you'd like to say about this ridiculous interlude and the setup?
I just thought it was ridiculous.
Okay.
The
other Chirins are, there's Fanny, 1 year younger.
Mm-hmm.
P.S. There's Heaven and Fanny. Which is going to be the virgin and which is going to be the whore?
I couldn't tell you.
The Fanny is where the naughty stuff happens.
Sure is. Whether you're saying it Britishly or Americanly.
And there's Keith and Arjane.
Who are much younger?
They're a bit younger.
Yeah,
I think when we open on this, when we kind of come to the opening, Heaven's like 13 and like 12, 13. Mm-hmm. An old 12, 13. Because I definitely specifically know Fanny's age as 11. That's the part I'm going to talk about. It's rising in my throat.
Get it out.
That's gonna just be vomit.
Oh, okay.
And I think Keith is like 6.
Yeah, I think they're 5 and 6. Yeah,
5 and 6
because Arjane just started.
She
school.
just started school, and she do have a mystery illness.
Yeah, she's always the sick.
She's always the sick. Now we've talked about the Chirins. We've talked about Pa, big mean, handsome, drunken Pa. Mm-hmm. We've talked about Granny and Grandpa. They sit in their rockers all day. Mm-hmm. Because they're done working. Or maybe like Grandpa whittles.
Yep, and Grandma crochets and
she crochets,
whatnot.
knits. Maybe she do a little garden. Mm-hmm. She dispense wisdom.
Mm-hmm. You put a quarter in her mouth. She tells you your fortune.
A quarter. Don't we just have fortune money?
A tuppence.
She puts a scrumpence in there. A crumpence. So we've come to Sarah, who Heaven, up until the age of 10 Eve, thinks is as her mother, and is described as, and I wrote this down for later books, they say it more than once, but raw-boned.
Yeah, what the hell does that mean?
Burly. Brawny.
Raw-bone.
She ain't frail and delicate. Oh. She raw-boned. She looks like a linebacker, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She has she has fiery red hair and green eyes.
There's only dainty and linebacker.
There's dainty and linebacker. Okay. It's like the virgin whore of body types.
Oh.
I feel
like that.
Anyway, there's no room. You're one or the other.
Yeah, in the VC world.
Yep. So.
Or you're obese.
So Sarah loves Luke. And she is mean because she hates her fucking life because she lives in a goddamn cabin with a bunch of goddamn children and has to, like, shit out in the outhouse and make food out of, like, lard gravy and biscuits. They never have food.
No.
Pa is running from the law.
Mm-hmm. The feds.
He's like running. I think you figured out the year later is the early 60s.
I did figure out the...
So, but, like, again, timeless.
Mm-hmm.
Is this prohibition?
I think it's just illegal moonshine.
It's just liquor.
Yeah. It's just illegal moonshine.
So he doesn't...
Prohibition.
You know, he doesn't really quote-unquote work. Nope. He doesn't have a 401k.
He gets money, and then he gambles it away.
Yep.
Or he spends it on the drink and the women's...
every so often, maybe he'll bring, like, a grocery. A singular grocery.
Seems like, here's a cabbage.
Here's the scrabbage. So they gotta, like, have a garden, like you do, and they walk to the school in the town,
7 miles away.
Did they say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
they walk 7 miles to school.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, that takes like 2.5 hours.
Ugh, I hate that.
Yeah, 7 miles to and from, uphill both ways.
In the snow.
Well, not sometimes. No. Yeah, 7 miles to school.
Oh, and meet beautiful Miss Deal.
Yeah.
So
she's wonderful. Their teacher, Marianne Deal, was only supposed to be like a certain grade teacher, like, hi, I teach third grade. But when she got Tom and Heaven in her class, she was just like, I just really appreciate that at least 2 kids want to friggin' learn.
Promise.
Yeah, and so the school let her, like, age with them, or go along, which is wonderful.
So interesting that there's a bit about how they couldn't afford the deposit on books.
Mm-hmm.
We went to public school.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get books.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just like another plot point to them being the poor.
Yeah, I think that I thought that they alluded to the fact that, like, you couldn't take out books from the library for free because, like, people didn't bring them back or something. So, anyways, Miss Deal would give them books for the keepings.
She later, out of her own pocket, paid the deposit.
She's a wonderful lady.
She's wonderful, and they have books now. They have classics and not classics and all the words to take them out of their fucking cabin.
Yeah, and Tom and Heaven want to just, like, grow up and be better. That's all they keep talking about.
That's all they talk about is being better.
Yep. Got about growing up and getting out of there.
Now, my next note is the arrival of another character.
My note says, Dreamy Logan shows up.
Logan Stonewall. He has quality. Heaven says, Logan had something that the other boys didn't have. Quality. So, like, his name may as well be Handsome McHard Cheeks.
Yeah, I think so.
He's got... He shows up in, like, a tie and, like, a sweater.
Mm-hmm.
First day.
Gray slacks.
Second day, a little dressed down in a flannel from Beans.
I know, Ella Beans shout out. That's one of my notes. I thought that was really cool. She was like, someplace up north called Beans, and I was like, oh my god.
That's just like up the road.
We know where that is.
I've been to that boot.
God, I've been to that boot.
So Logan is instantly like into Heaven, because she's refined, eugenically. Fanny jealous.
Yeah, because Fanny just hangs out in the coat room and...
So, they're all starving, these humans. I don't know if this is the part where Logan buys everyone lunch and is like, you're so cute, you're starving.
Yeah.
He buys the whole family lunch, because usually Miss Deal would have like quote unquote extra sandwiches. Like, oh, I made too many, everyone.
Yeah, like they never ate breakfast, the Casteels. I
thought they just ate breakfast and dinner.
No, they never ate breakfast. They went to school because they get lunch at school.
Okay, I feel like that's factually inaccurate. But who cares?
Anyways, never 3 meals. Never 3 meals. Sometimes not even one.
That is the undercurrent, is starvation. So here's the note I wrote down. Fanny had her own way of getting a meal. And then I wrote, oh, Fanny is quote unquote not quite 12 in the cloakroom, which is a very fucking nice way to say 11. Mm-hmm. That's a nice way of saying an 11-year-old's in the cloakroom. Mm-hmm. Fucking for Big Macs. So here's the passage I screenshotted. If I may dramatically read.
Please.
Even at the tender age of not quite 12, she wanted to make out with much older boys who might have ignored her but for her insistence, whore. She liked the boys to undress her, to slip their hands into her panties and start those exciting sensations only they could give her. First of all, girl, you can do that yourself.
DIY.
Why? DIY. No. I'm so upset.
The top of your head's about to explode.
No. This is a negative peer-to-teen life choice event.
Yeah, correct.
I can't.
Yeah, Fanny's a lot.
I feel like even saying 12 is like cheeky because it's like just it's pretty. No. 11. Has she even had a period? Does she have hormones? No.
I don't think so. She just like wants to
I was
run around.
upset about this.
It's really upsetting for sure. Fanny's so far out of, the books that we've read, which is only almost two full family series, is the most stressful character.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know, I've kind of known people like that. Just as far
as an aside, I'm sorry, dear listener, we have not addressed the fact that it's written in an accent. The Hill Folk.
Oh man, we should have started with that.
I'm sorry. Ain't and can't and yeah and and I struggle with it. Anyway.
No, I want to talk about this.
Okay.
I want to talk about the accent real quick.
Please do.
So, I went and just grabbed my copy of Heaven from my bookshelf, which is fully Andrew's out right now.
It's literature.
So we're just going to take this aside, at the not even beginning of this to talk about how it's supposed to be written in a sort of a really hillbilly southern accent. I cannot read in that accent.
Thank you!
It's challenging. So, Katie gave me the idea of, reading it Scottishly, like a brogue.
And that somehow flows in the brain.
It does, except for...
Oh, you have, an earmarked...
I don't. I'm just going to try to find one.
Okay.
But what I read it in is like this. Your sister ain't stuck up and prissy like ya. You can't do nothing about Fanny Heaven. You just look out for yourself.
Who said that? Was it Tom?
Sarah. Your sister Fanny is gonna be a whore, said Sarah later, her voice dull and without hope as she pulled bed pallets from boxes. What? For us to put on the floor. What? They've stacked up sometimes?
Yeah, they put the bed pallet. They have one room.
Alright, whatever. You can't do nothing about Fanny.
So you basically give it an auntie dip.
Yeah, it's the auntie voice. Ain't right to make a man do something he hates. Even if the feds catch him sooner or later peddling moonshine.
Peddling moonshine.
And he'd die before he'd let him lock him up. Rather see him dead than shut up like his brothers.
See, now I'm... Why have you kept this from me?
Because it needed to be like this.
You need to reveal the live reveal.
Yes, also it's been a month since we recorded an episode because
life.
I was away. I was away on the road, on the big road.
We've kept it in.
Yeah, it's been very challenging. But anyways, yeah, that's how I read it.
What's your next note here?
Fanny Wu Chow.
Fanny Chow.
Because she was just Logan is just oh my god, Heaven, you're so beautiful, and I just see such a beautiful in you, and oh my god, and be my girl. And she's like, I'm too young to get married. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
let's just be boyfriend and girlfriend.
They
whatever.
talk
We're
about...
like,
She wouldn't even kiss him. In the Willies... I don't know why I read it... The Willies. Like that.
The Willis. That one's still Scottish.
You're an old maid if you're not married by 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The end.
So Heaven was like, oh shit, that's great, because I actually didn't want to do that. It's cool to hang out with a guy who, like, doesn't want to get married before
Fanny
he goes through puberty. So jealous. She's just, like, whipping off her clothes and running around
naked.
Like, literally flinging herself at Logan.
And he's like, oh, you're gross.
He's like, please stop trying to make out with me.
And then Tom is like, he says, like, I'll be president someday, we'll get out of here. So I wrote down this quote from Tom. I probably won't end up much of nothing if you're not there to help me believe in myself. No, the face you're making is, like, so sad, but I am enraged because women are not rehab for broken men.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. For sure. I'm just saying they were poor children, and all he was saying was, I want to stick together with you. That's what.
I just feel like this is a VC
Yes,
thing.
for sure, and that's bad.
All right.
But in this situation, like, Tom did not mean it.
I need to scream at you a little more.
Okay, that's okay. Like, I fully, not okay, toxic thought. Toxic mentality. But Tom did not mean it that way. What he meant was, like, we're the only two that give a shit about
Anything.
not being shitty.
So there's kind of like an extended vignette of, like, springtime walks with Logan home. The Casteels are hill scum. They're just hill scum. They say it so many times.
Scumbag
and I'm so
Casteel.
fucking confused about why.
I don't know.
I get that it's like conflict drives plot. I get it.
Yeah.
But I need to know why.
Jesus Christ. Probably because Pa's always drinking and a whoring and a stuffing. I don't know.
He's stuffing ladies with his cack. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Does he stuff?
Yeah.
Does he stuff food into his children? I don't think so.
Jesus Christ.
What?
They go to church every Sunday.
Oh yes, I don't think we're there yet.
Are we?
We are not, because I was noting as I was
like
reading.
literally everything. Okay.
Yeah, like, because
He's doing big plot points. Okay.
This book was just chock full of what? Fucking what? And I didn't want to forget any of it. So it was every page I'm just writing down. Hair fan comes back.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
Yeah.
Hair fan came back. There is a point where Heaven's on a swing and her hair is a fan. Mm-hmm. So it's just like hair fan. Arjane's mystery illness. There's but there's a bit where it's very like Heaven's so happy. There's Logan and they're so innocent in the springtime. There's drudgery, to be sure. And Fanny never helps.
Fanny never fucking helps.
Ooh, you're so upset about it.
Oh. I get anxiety every time I read Fanny involved sentences, passages.
Storylines.
Yes. It is. Oh, guys, it's a
You think you know, but you don't know. So then Ma / Sarah is pregnant again. She's pregnant. Yeah, she's pissed. But she wants it to be Luke's lookalike boy, which, ouch, to the other children's. Also, we didn't really... They do mention that Keith and Arjane have a special bond, much like Tom and Heaven's. Much like them. Keith, artistic, loves the nature. Arjane, beautiful, that's all she needs to be.
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
Even though she's like 6, they're like, someday she'll have something to do.
She'll have big fat milkers.
Oh my God.
I didn't say it. They implied.
No one used the phrase big fat milkers. You did say that.
So she's pregnant again. And she just knows it's going to be Luke's lookalike son. And he will love her again. And never go whoring again. So, then it's baby time.
Well, she starts just going kind of crazy, and Heaven's getting, like, stressed out about it because Sarah's like talking to herself and kind of shuffling around and
being like that. Weird.
Like paws always at Shirley's place, and she's just really kind of going mad. And it's sad because this poor lady's like not even 30 yet. This is her 6th kid coming out. She's used up. Well, her 5th kid coming out because Heaven did not come out of there. But yeah, and she's just like, right around this time, too, Logan gets into a huge fight with the boys at school.
To defend her honor.
To defend Heaven's honor, because they were saying that she was a whore like a sister Fanny.
And Heaven wants to, like, jump in and save him, and Tom's like, no, girl, stay back.
Yeah. She's like, tell them. He's like, if I helped him, they would just kick the shit out of him even more every day.
Fair.
Yeah, fair. And then Logan ends up, like...
winning the fight.
Freaking knocking a kid out cold, and then everyone just kind of, like... shuffles away who are watching.
That's really bad for that kid. Yeah. That's a fucking concussion.
No, maybe don't talk about anyone being a whore.
Don't talk about children being whores.
Unless it's Fanny.
I do remember, unless you're 11 and getting your panties fingered. No!
I threw a pillow at her for all of us. No.
I do recall that Fanny threw herself at Logan and was like,
yeah, just try to shove her tongue down his throat. Like, thanks for defending me. And he was like, I fucking wasn't.
But Heaven was like, oh shit, I should have done that.
Yeah, but then that's when they get a good smoocher.
They do, yeah.
And she was like, you wouldn't think that I was like, I hope you don't think I'd be like Fanny if I wanted to give you a smoocher. And he was like, you're fucking not like Fanny. Give me a smoocher.
That was the point of this whole fight.
Yeah. So yeah, Sarah, the day of the baby-in has arisen.
Does Paul say why he's left at this point? Because I don't want to spoil it with what I wrote. So if you want to take the whole birth and describe to the listener what happens. It starts.
So, you know,
the laborants.
Heaven and Tom and Logan are supposed to be...
Yeah, that's right.
So they're supposed to be fishing. They're just going to have a nice
fun time.
Late summer, whatever time it's supposed to be day.
Heaven's had
yeah,
to
probably,
assist,
yeah, like late summer.
Heaven's had to assist the other birth before. She knows what to do.
And then she hears a hollering, and she's like, I gotta go help Sarah with this birth. And, like, her and Granny are like, oh. And Granny was like, oh, no.
I'm old now. I can't do it. I have to sit and instruct you.
Or Granny was like, this ain't seem right.
This ain't
seem right. And Heaven was like, yeah, this seemed really messed up. Like, already she was, like, screaming. She was, like, covered in sweat. Talking about rivers of blood. Rivers of blood.
Rivers of gore. Rivers of gore.
Coming
Rivers
out
of gore.
of her vaginal system.
Quadrant.
And then, like, someone had gotten a hold of Pa, and he, like, came and he was just hanging out with Grandpa on the porch, as the men are doing.
No. So she has the baby. And she's like, what is it?
No, I know, but Pa's lurking is what I was just saying.
He's lurking. Okay.
I just said in the scene.
I couldn't remember. Oh, God, I'm sorry, I ruined it.
No, Pa and Grandpa are being men folk out on the porch because the inside burfins aren't for the men folk. So...
Or they can put him in, but they can't see him coming out.
Nope. So, Sarah, like, after bleeding out an entire, like, river of sticks, she, like, finally, like honks out this baby. And Heaven, like, sort of football catches it, and she's like,
I don't know what it is.
And she's like, what is it? And she was like,
I don't know.
Yeah, and then Granny was like, what's going on? And then they were both like, and they didn't know what to do because apparently this child was sexless, no genitals at all. None. And had half of a head.
Like a half, no skull. Like
yeah, I don't know. It just
it was like a Phantom of the Opera mask on his head.
Yeah. Its head.
Head.
And apparently was just covered in oozing sores. And so they, like, hand it to Sarah, and they're like, I guess,
here you go.
Here it is.
So she was like...
Yeah, she just, is stillborn. And she rushes out on the porch, thrusts the baby in Pa's arms. Look at what your whoring did! And then Pa's like, ugh! And, like, just spikes this dead baby onto the ground. Which was an extreme reaction, I thought.
All I wrote was... half-formed baby head, syphilitic monster baby LOL.
Wow. half-head, sexless, oozing baby is born, and Pa throws it on the ground.
Fucking I kind of like the spiking. I just glossed over because I was laughing.
He totally
I
threw
was
it on the
laughing
ground.
so hard. My
That's what he did.
my joy comes from like, what the fuck is next?
Yeah.
What crazy thing? So I'm just laughing at half-formed monster baby. When I just, like, my eyeballs just glazed over
That's the best part.
Drop kick. He drop kicks the baby into old Smokey the oven.
Yeah, he spikes it off the porch or
And
the
just
ground
takes
or
off.
whatever, and then he just gets in his truck and peels out. And then, so, like, Granny's like, we should wash this baby and make it nice for a
Agree.
funeral.
Yeah, I mean, good, fair.
So Heaven's, like, just washing this baby in a wash basin, which...
You gotta watch that open skull, I guess.
That was really disturbing for me because of the fact that they didn't go into detail. It just seemed like, I was just washing this baby. And like, you just went through talking about how it was horrific, and now you're just like, yeah, and then I just washed. Like, how do you wash off half a head and sores? Like, was it just like rinse the spiked football baby dirt off of its body?
Just like brush the pine needles off it.
Oh my god, I don't know. So Heaven's like, well, that's cool. I'm gonna go back in the cabin and, like, go to bed. And then she was like, hey, Granny. Granny fucking dead.
From the shock of the syphilitic half-formed monster baby.
Yep.
Ain't never seen one of those. Which, you know what? No. So Sarah just is done.
Yeah, she loses her goddamn mind. She's just like, I'm gonna go, and...
Yeah, it's
Heaven
like a
was
lot
like-
of, like, talking to herself, like, better off without me.
Yeah.
Better
and
off.
Sarah
They're
was,
going to be better
Kevin
off.
was like, no, Mom. She's like, I hate your mom! And she was like, I know, but, like...
I do know,
but, like, you
but-
are. Like, yeah, the only... Yeah, no, she talks fine. You aren't the only mother I have ever known, Sarah. And she was like, yeah, ain't your mother. And Heaven wakes up and she's like, oh my god, I smell fruit. After they'd been, like, starving. Because Sarah just let herself fucking go. She was, like, rightfully depressed as shit. And, like, just not doing any housework, not cooking, like... So Heaven was like, alright, well, that makes sense. I'll just do this. She stops going to school. And, then Sarah just leaves. Like, Heaven wakes up and she's like, oh, I smell fruit. This is great. And she was like, hey, Sarah, there's fruit. Oh, no, you're gone. And there was just, like, a scrawled note to her dad that was just like, I'm out of here. Bye. And so Heaven has to stay home from school to do all the chores and watch the children's.
I know, I feel like... Yeah, and she is like... You go, Tom, because I'm smarter than you. And you need to do all the learnings you can learn. And our Jane's mystery illness. So they kind of have this, like... Paul doesn't know that Sarah left.
Not for a
He's-
hot minute.
Not for... Oh, he's out.
Yeah.
He's just out, like you do. And they kind of have this, like, no, he'll be back. Like, he's always, like, back.
He never lets us starve to death. That's, like, his saving grace.
We're on, like, the brink of death. So they kind of carry on, and I do know that I remember one point they wake up and Ara Jane is like, I'm hungry, me. And she has, like, 2 cold biscuits, and Fanny's like, you only got 2 biscuits?
Yeah, Fanny sucks.
So then they kind of like got to figure it out, and like Tom goes a hunting, and Tom has to like try to hunt and fish and trap, and he do try to look for. So then they decide to go with stealing,
Before that, though,
which is fine.
yeah, that's fine. Going to stealing, but before that, like, Logan's like, "Hey, Heaven, like, I'm super worried about you because Heaven tells Tom to tell other people that Sarah's not feeling well, and so she needs to stay home and help with RJ now that Granny's gone. Like, she doesn't want anyone to know that their pa just like took off because she's got too much pride. So Logan finally comes to the house and he's just like, "Hey," and he's like wearing sunglasses because apparently in that fight, like, he was wearing contact lenses,
yeah, someone,
scratched
like,
his cornea, and like he had to go to the doctor and get a surgeries.
Maybe even in Boston, we don't know.
Oh, probably. So it was like just really, like Kevin was just such a dick to Logan. He was like, I'm just checking. And she's like, don't you fucking pity me! Get out of here! And he was like, all right. Like, I feel kind of bad that I walked all 7 fucking miles here to see you and I can't see.
You don't give her anything for the pride? Nothing?
She could have, like, not been a dick about it. Like, she was like, you guys, dear listener, she was mean. She was really mean. She could have just let... And, like, the whole time she's like, why am I being such a bitch? That's all. She wasn't even like, oh, it's nice to see you. She's like, oh, you came to see how I live and judge me. That's not really being prideful. That's being hateful. Spiteful. Anyways, they're hungry and they go with stealing.
They're hungry and they go with stealing, which, no judgment, if they gotta survive. Very quaint, stealing pies.
Chickens.
And also, like, they notice that the town women, when they unload their groceries, will, like, take a sack in and leave some sacks, and they just grab and go. They mention that Tom tries to get a job, but they won't hire hill folk because they steal. So fuck that, let's keep stealing.
Yep. Well.
I mean, they do perpetuate the exact same thing that they said was maybe unfair.
Yeah, but he was trying to get a job before they went stealing, though. So, I don't know. That happens because you gotta just believe in people sometimes.
The next thing I wrote was, fuck a 2-hour walk to church. She makes fucking brittle old Gramps, like, shuffle down to church. Because Paul left and took the truck. Miss Deal usually buys the children ice creams. And Heaven is again too many pridefuls. And she was like, I didn't want the ice cream because they'll talk me. Which obviously Fanny does. And then she's like, you know what? Miss Deal is like, fuck this ice cream. You're my guests for lunch. And they go to the fanciest restaurant.
Because Fanny blurts out, like,
I haven't eaten.
No, we don't. We're not fine. We don't have food at home. Ma's gone, Pa's gone. And so Miss Deal's like, okay,
let's go to lunch. Now, they go to lunch. And this is where I kind of came to this idea that this book is just vague ideas with just enough detail. Let me explain.
Yes, please.
Because it's like, all right, plot point. Go to fancy lunch, be looked down upon. But we gotta I'm making the stretch it out motion. We gotta like just enough to stretch. It looks fancy. It's like red velvet and gold touches. Done.
Yep.
Done. The end. There's fine folk. How many fine folk are in this town having lunch on a Sunday? There's many fine folk having lunch.
Yeah, it's confusing to me, like, what the, whatever you call it, of the town is. Makeup. Demographics!
Many fine folks having lunch.
In Winterow
On a Sunday afternoon. At, like, a velvet and gold embellished establishment.
So I picture this place just having, like, one road.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's go to the restaurant. Could be an Applebee's for all we know.
It's probably an Applebee's.
I also wrote waiters being a little dramatic wiping off the menus.
Yes, seriously?
Because they're so gross. They bathe weekly, just before church, so they are clean. But they're like, wiping off the menus.
Like dusting them, like not even like, I don't know, like just shaking them off, like invisible cooties. So they have a lovely lunch and it's crazy and they're like so grateful.
Yeah, there's like roast beef, there's like many courses. But what happens?
Our Jane with her mystery illness, she's like, thanks, this is the best.
Yeah.
So my note is chew and spew.
She barfs it up. Thanks. So then Miss Deal's like, I'm gonna help you, but then she has to like leave for a family emergency.
Yeah, her mom got sick.
And then Pa shows back up, and he's like, where's my wife? And everyone's like, oh, your wife left you, because he's like, I got groceries. And then
and then later after she leaves, she realizes that it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he hucks groceries and leaves.
Yep.
I think at some point she's like, we just fucking ate everything, and then we're like, oh shit, we're starving again.
Yeah, a couple of times. She's like, I'm trying to make it stretch out, but like it's so cool to have bacon.
I had
I
2
agree.
apples today.
Pig.
Later on, when he comes back again, he's like, I got syphilis
Okay.
from whores. So that's why it was a syphilitic baby.
Yeah, he was like, that's why I've been away. I'm trying to get better.
Get my treatment.
Like, where was he? Like,
Neither one of us Googled syphilis, treatments for syphilis,
it's just weird that he's like gone for
times,
months
2 weeks on end.
doing something. I don't know.
He was like, well, you got no ma, no pa, no, I gotta... And he's like, hucking bags, and he's like, burn those bags, don't touch anything I touched.
Yeah.
Is that how syphilis works?
I don't know.
Is it surface transmissible?
It's the COVID of the Casteels.
Did he jizz on the bags? Is it sexually transmitted?
Probably.
He did.
He rubbed it. The bags he was storing in his asshole, in his colon, and he pulled them out like a bag dispenser that you keep in the pantry.
He rubbed his cock on every bag.
Yeah. On the outside.
Yeah, the outside.
Outside.
So...
God damn it.
So he's got himself a plan.
Yep.
He's got himself a plan to care for his childrens.
Shows back up on Christmas, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gazing down to my 2 littlest ones." And Heaven's like,
Get
so
your fine
weird that he's
clothes
got
on.
them in his
fine
arms because he never held these kids. This is interesting. Maybe he's changed. Did he change?
No.
No. So on Christmas, what happened?
A car pulls up and he's like, alright, listen, assholes. You're gonna go live with other families because we're poor, we got nothing. It's these 2. It's the 2 little ones.
Yeah, they're gonna pick one.
They're gonna pick one. Shut up. Everyone shut the fuck up about it or I'll beat the shit out of you.
Yep.
And what did you note about the couple? There's a couple that comes to purchase the chillins. I'm sorry, they come...
As a Christmas gift, Pa sells his kids to a fat couple from Maryland, Lester the lawyer and his pretty wife.
multiple times. It's like, oh, you're fat.
Yeah. It's a fat couple.
And Heaven's like...
They're like talking about the wife being surprisingly pretty. Fuck off.
And Heaven's like, oh, she's sick all the time, and he's not really butch, so...
Yeah, and they can't be apart. And so the wife is like, we
Let's
have to
have
take
both.
both of them then. And then they tear
They
them out
do.
of their screaming.
So they do. 500 apiece. And then after that, Heaven is having a grief. And, then Fanny's like, I wish it'd been me. While they huddle for warmth all together on the bed. And then it is her. And, who buys Fan-a-Lana Ding Dong?
Fan-a-Lana Ding Dong. Pa sells Fanny to the good Reverend Waylon Wise and his wife, Rosalind.
He does make an eyeball at Slutatious Fanny, and he gives her a fur coat.
Yep.
Because as the religious people of Winterow, they are the wealthiest.
Of course.
Of course. So that's that. And then Tom's next.
Yeah, well, they decide they want to run. Tom and Heaven are like, shit, we're gonna run away because we can't get separated. We don't want to be sold off. But then that does not work. Like,
Yeah, Pa's like...
Pa just kind of shows back up. Yeah.
And he like sleeps in a chair by the door.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, my money's not gonna go running away. So this dairy farmer shows up and buys Tom.
It's business.
Yep.
And he's like, here's my strong, broad...
Yeah, it was like he looked at his teeth like he was a fucking horse. It was really weird. But I guess it makes sense. The dairy farmer.
It was like actual slavery. Oh, I forgot to mention that the lawyer has Pa sign all these papers, and he's like, now, as you can see by these papers, this child sale is legally binding.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer.
Yeah,
You know
you're not
the
allowed
law.
to sell people. You are not allowed to sell people.
I guess if you call it an adoption fee.
Yeah.
Like a rehoming a dog kind of thing.
Woof.
Oh, woof. And then it's Heaven's turn, and he's like, hey,
That
girl.
same night, like, she watches Tom right away, and then, like, a couple hours later, hey,
It's her turn.
surprise, and Pa's like, I got a surprise for you. You can pick which family you want to go to. La, 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 la. And I thought that it was just so fucking contrived. It was like, oh, there was this, like, young couple, and, like, there was a handsome husband, and, like, the wife was the prettiest lady I've ever seen because she was wearing hot pink everything, and this other couple looked stuffy, And, like, we, the readers, are like, okay, I'm gonna pick the cute couple, and they're gonna not work out.
And she definitely was like, they were older and distinguished. I thought maybe I can get away with more with the younger couple.
She had 0 conversations with either couple. She was allowed to choose who she wanted to live with, and she spoke no words to either of them until she went, them.
Yep.
And that's insane. Like, girl, like, we're led to believe that she's got more brains than that.
It was a panic time. So as the older dignified couple just kind of like
Shrugs and goes away.
Okay, we'll go buy a kid somewhere else. Then for some reason they were all like kind of silent while this was happening.
Yeah.
The woman Kitty was like prancing around and being weird, and once the older couple leaves, she's like, "Oh, you made the right choice up in
Yep.
in like the twang." And Heaven is like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, maybe I should have had 1-sentence conversations with either of them.
So then they go,
and then she was like, "This lady was more beautiful. Like, the more you looked at her, the more beautiful she became. Unless you looked at her really close." And then she was not as pretty as I thought.
Her tracksuit is giving her massive fucking mammal toe.
Yeah, that is true. I don't
Her fucking moose knuckle is aggressive.
know it was. So, the more you look at that hot pink suit lady, the prettier she is. Unless you really look at her, question mark.
So it's Cal Dennison and his wife Kitty. Kitty has red hair, like stiff but also styled in some fashion. Very aggressive.
Large hair.
Large hair. Basically like a John Waters type of woman.
Yeah,
like
I kind of
she
picture
came out
that
of a
for
John
sure.
Waters novel, and they drive.
Like a mink stole, kind of.
They're just driving forever. They're like, take nothing. All this shit is dirty. And she needs to take her suitcase that belonged to her mother, but like hidden in the shawls.
So she pretends like it's just a bundle of shawls. Like, what shape is this suitcase?
Shawl shaped.
Yes, a bundle of shawl-shaped suitcase? Where can I find one of those?
And Kitty don't like that. My note during the drive down, and it's very like having a McDonald's.
Yep.
Fine. I wrote down Cal nice man, Kitty freeway handy. Of course her name is Kitty.
I wrote Linda. Because there's a point where Kitty was like, that name is stupid. Heaven's a place, not a person. I was like, the name Linda. I'm going to call you Linda. And then she mentions it to Cal, and Cal's like, the fuck, Kitty? Like, we just took her away from her family. Don't change your goddamn name, too.
Linda.
But Kitty got that Cal whipped ass.
Yeah, she is like, meh. What if I give you a fucking tug job on the highway?
And he's like, that's dangerous, man.
He's like, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Do that. So they live in Atlanta.
Right outside.
So,
well, she makes the point to be like, we're not really in Atlanta. We're in a suburb outside of Atlanta.
and you get to Kitty's house. Kitty is extremely mentally ill.
She really is.
Obsessed with cleanliness in like an OCD fashion. And they got new rugs while they were gone, like bright white rugs, bright white rooms with like all these like ceramics everywhere.
Yeah, they got new wallpaper. They wallpapered, yeah.
And she's always like, this shit is wrong. So then she's like, Cal! Go buy Heaven new nightgowns! So she sends Cal, she disposes of Cal.
Sends him to the Kmart that's open till midnight.
For the Lysol bath.
Well, before even that, like, Heaven's just sort of taking in what it looks like, because it's just sterile, white as fuck, everything. Except for all of these, like, insanely
ceramic
colorful ceramic animals that Kitty made. And it's just, like, wild, but then also Kitty's like, ugh, they didn't put my chairs back right. We gotta move this furniture. And Heaven, like, says that it takes him, like, an hour to... Like, you're led to think it's, like, 2 chairs. So I don't know how it would take an hour to move 2 chairs, but mental illness is a complicated thing.
So then she's like, don't sit on the toilet. Put the seat cover on. Here's a like plastic bit. Put your clothes on it. Don't stand on my floor.
Yep.
Because you got hill scum on you.
Yep. And
I have to
lice.
scrub it off. I have to scrub off the lice. She fills the tub with burning hot water.
Yep.
Scalding and Lysol.
Yeah, fucking Lysol.
Which, dear listener, I'm not sure if you know, dear listener, was marketed as a douche back in the day.
It was a multi-purpose. It was like, you could use it for anything. Even you stanky lady bits. No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Women died because they didn't dilute it enough.
Yep.
It was just like a straight shot of like a raw Lysol up in the stuff.
Yeah, guess what?
Don't do that.
Stop judging my vagina.
So, So I also wrote down Kitty in her tiny brown panties.
Yeah, because she just, like, got into her undies to
It was
scrub heaven.
Yeah, and it's like her body was toy.
Yep.
She was stacked, if I can say that.
You can. Please do.
No, that's what the book said.
Oh. Heaven was like, and I looked at her, and I thought she's
damn.
stacked. If I can say that.
Damn, girl, them titties. And your fucking the tiny crotch V of your panties.
Stop saying that.
Nope. I even wrote it in my notes with many A's.
No. No!
So that happens. I also wrote Kitty is a psycho and a moron. Dangerous combo.
Yeah. So Heaven's like, that
I am a
is too
clean
hot.
lady. She's like, this is scalding, and I bathe.
I took a freaking bath like this morning or yesterday. She's like, I know it looks gross.
There's
but, like,
no lice on. Like you can see.
And she was like, no, you'll feel so much better once we scrub it off. And she was like, and like tried to like distract her so the bath could cool down some, but then like Kitty ends up pouring more scalding water, and basically like
Just like burns a whole layer. It just burns her.
She does like a wrestling flip like into it. Like if you guys have ever seen the first Nightmare on Elm Street, there's a scene where Nancy's in the bath and she keeps like struggling, trying to get out of it, but Freddy's pulling her down. It's this, but in reverse. Like she's like basically being drowned in scalding Lysol water. And Kitty's got a freaking brush,
like a toilet brush on her face.
Yeah, basically. And she like puts a tar shampoo in her hair
to kill the lice.
To kill the lice that aren't even
there.
They do not exist.
You gotta kill the eggs.
It's a lot, and poor Heaven's just like.
She like at some point while Kitty is like tarring her hair, like she turns on the cold faucet and flings it into her burning, scalding eyeballs.
Which Kitty apparently was fine with.
Yeah. She's, the bath was almost done.
And she keeps talking about how exhausted she is, and, like, how she can't focus on what Kitty is saying, and, like, she kind of spaced out, and Kitty, like, slammed her head on the wall, and she's like, you're listening to me!
That's right.
Yeah.
She's like, call me mother! Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, Kitty.
Yeah, it was a lot. So Evan's like, shit, maybe I should have had a conversation with either of them.
And then Cal's like, here's your fucking nightgowns, and she's like, Kitty, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I'm going to do the pull-out sofa for you.
Mm-hmm. And Kitty was like, no. The note I wrote was, Heaven has to sleep between the married couple so she doesn't masturbate herself into oblivion and terabang. Yeah. Like, she was like, no, I know what hill girls do by themselves. It's sinful. She's sleeping between us. And Cal's like, are you fucking... Why? So that was great.
But also, Kitty's like, you want to...
Yeah, she like puts on negligee and she's like, you think I look hot? And he's like, why are you acting like this?
But he is a fool for titties.
He's a little bit of a fool for titties, but who isn't?
So that's happened. So that happens for a bit. She has to sleep in between them so she doesn't touch herself.
Until Cal is just like snugs up with Heaven. He's like, yeah, I'm ready to go to bed, Kitty. And she's like, get this girl out of my bed. And Cal's like, right.
So she gets to do that. So we haven't even told you, dear listener, that Kitty Dennison is a hairdresser.
She is, for all the famous folks in the Atlanta area.
Have you been trained in hairdressing? When she's like trying to like yank the knots out of Heaven's hair, Heaven's like, can you just not? And she's like, have you been trained as a hairdresser? Because I have.
And she's like, I'm telling you, that's not how my hair works.
But have you been trained?
The next day she does like do it gentle, and she's like, sorry I had to yell. Just like real like abuser shit. Ugh.
She also teaches ceramics on the weekends.
Yep.
Just
in the garage.
There it is.
They take her school shopping, but buy all the clothes like a little bit too large.
They make her ugg up a little bit.
Yeah, because she's like, well, I'm not going to buy you new clothes when you grow out of these. So I'm buying you these shit clothes that are just going to last longer. And she goes to school in like her horrible, like, clunky shoes and like stuffy clothes.
It is revealed that Heaven has to, like, scrub everything very specifically.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't know newfangled things. And Kitty's like, any idiot can make toast. And she's like, we don't have a toaster.
She's like, I don't fucking know. Like, what is bread?
What is bread? This comes sliced now?
Yeah, seriously. They, the first day that Heaven gets home from school, there are, like, 8 5x8 cards listing, like, all of the chores she has to do. So I wrote, like, cool, she's an indentured servant now. But also it's like she couldn't find one of the cards, and I went, Heaven, how you managed to lose a 5x8 card in a spotless house? Shaking my damn head.
Did they ever come back to that?
Nope.
What was on the card?
I don't know what was on the card. Like, she read
Was
through
it
all the
just
cards.
like, don't touch yourself?
I don't know. It was some bullshit.
I just realized they never come back to that card.
No, she ends up asking Cal, like, what would have been on the card? He's like, she doesn't actually really fucking know. I don't know.
He's like, oh, she's fucking crazy.
It's like, you don't have to work as hard as you think you do. Because everything is spotless, so just make sure it, like, symbolizes it, but you don't have to, like...
I know, but Heaven's like, well, I did get my head fucking slammed into a wall, so...
And so Cal's like, fuck, alright, we'll be pals. Like, she's working all the time anyways.
I wrote down shopping movie dinner, and he's like, you know what, fuck this, let's go, let's have, like... Let's get you some, like, actual nice clothes. Let's have, like, some nice food.
And I'll take you to a movie. And she's like, I've never been to a movie. What was the movie? Sound of Music.
Which was released in
1965. So, Heaven is... So she's 14. Or 15 at
14,
this time.
15, like, she's aging. She's aging.
So, Heaven was born in 1950. Is what I gleaned from this.
Okay. Now we know.
Yep.
So their relationship is relationshiping, and a lot of times when Kitty is teaching ceramics, Heaven kind of, like, fucks off her chores, and they go to have, like, a nice food, a nice thing, and their relationship is relationshiping away. There's hugging. I wrote down the curve of his body type of hugging.
Yeah.
Does that mean his dangalang?
I think she just means that, like, it was like
a full
body hug. Because, you know, if she had felt his dingus, she would have been like, oh, and the maleness of him swole against my thigh or some shit.
Yeah, okay. It's when you, like, there comes a point where it turns and there's, like, a full body hug.
Yeah. I wrote, Cal is very nice and getting horny for Heaven, question mark?
So, Kitty's not yet 40. She's in her mid to late 30s, and I think Cal's in his mid to late 20s. So, and Heaven is a burgeoning woman. A women's. So, that's it. He's younger. It's also brought up that he can't leave Kitty because she paid for his electrician school.
Yeah, he owes her like $100,000 or some shit.
Quote unquote, whatever.
How?
But also, he is also, like, under the spell of titties.
Yeah, for sure.
She loves hot pink.
That's all she wears. So a couple of quotes I wrote down for Kitty is, I think that night that they got back, or another time, Cal, I got me yearnings tonight. Or as I actually read it, Cal, I got me yearnings tonight. And then, you know, she's just having like a girl talk with Heaven one time, and she's talking about boys, and she says, all is dying to slam their bangers into your whammer.
I just wrote down page 306, bangers.
Yeah.
They're bangers into your whammer.
Bangers into your whammer.
Y-E-R, your whammer.
Your whammer.
I would not call my vagina zone a whammer.
No. No!
Wham!
No!
Wham!
No!
Wake me up before you go wham. No. No. It's not George Michael and the other guy down there.
Yeah, whoever that guy was.
Andrew something.
Andrew Niederman.
Whammer. Slam their bangers into your whammers.
It's really upsetting.
Just go through your life thinking about slamming bangers into whammers.
I just stared at that sentence like I ain't no angel when it comes to talking about things or knowing about stuff, but Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
So
No!
They're bangers into whamma.
So meanwhile, Heaven's been writing to Tom and Logan, and Tom hasn't written back, and then in the first letter she gets from him, she reads that, like, he has written her a bunch of letters. So, like, Tom's written a bunch of letters, but Heaven has only gotten one. Who's hiding these bitches? Is it Cal? And then, spoiler alert, we never find out. We don't know what the fuck happened to all of those many letters Tom said that he...
No follow
through.
That at some point, I don't remember when Heaven gets like her like kind of own room and doesn't sleep on the couch. There's a point where after there's like a lot of like dinner shopping movie, full body hugging, where he's like she's getting her own bed. We're getting nice furniture, and she's like, get shitty furniture, and he's like, no, we're getting nice furniture. There's a bunch of cabinets that she's not allowed in. And there's, like, closets locked. I wrote so many locked doors. Ooh, metaphor.
Seriously.
So there's, like, Kitty's, like, ceramic stuff and, like, a bunch of locked cabinets. But then, like, it's also her room. FYI. There's locked cabinets.
Yep.
Mystery doors.
Speaking of furniture and bedroom, I wrote, yay, more grooming. With the party horn emoji.
Mm-hmm. So that's happening. Do you have your Heaven book? Right here? Great. I'm going to see if it's the same page number as mine. So, Heaven decides... This progresses. I think Heaven grows up a bit to 16. This kind of, like, goes on. And they kind of say, like, oh, and then I did a school, and then I had a birthday, and time progresses, and now it's 2 years later. So, Heaven decides... She's like, we need to have a birthday for Kitty.
Yeah, let's do a party for Kitty, because she's been fucking weird. And
I just want to be nice to this lady.
Yeah, like, maybe she'll actually, like, be... She's just... Poor Heaven is craving paternal love. Like, parental love in any way. Like, she just really wants to be like, I wish that people who have taken care of me didn't treat me like a piece of shit.
And Cal's like, don't fucking do a surprise party.
Yeah.
This will blow the fuck up in your face.
Yep.
Thanks, Cal.
Yeah, no shit. So Heaven, like, got ready for the party, got everything all nice, and then she got dressed, and then she was like, oh, it's, like, rainy outside. P.S. Everything that happens next is supposed to happen within 1 hour.
Thank you!
Yeah, like,
the timeline on this
is insane. Or 2
what
hours,
is happening?
I guess. She, like, takes 2 naps.
I wrote, what the fuck is this party nap? So, there's a time between when Heaven is done prepping for the party and the party happens.
It's gonna be like 2 hours-ish.
She's having a little nappy nap, and she's like dreaming, and she's just like, and she rolls over.
Yeah, she's
on
got
her side.
She took her, like,
doll, her mommy doll
out so she could, like, watch her get ready, and then she, like, apparently has conversations. Well, that's fine. That's nice. I feel like that's healthy. So she has a little nappy nap, like, she falls asleep on her back, like, making sure not to, like, ruffle up her dress. And then, like, she wakes up again because thunder or some shit. And then she's like, so snug. And, like,
rolls over
on her side. And falls back asleep. And then she's having, like, kind of nice, kind of weird dreams. And all of a sudden, Kitty's in the doorway.
I seen you rubbing on your pillow.
No, she was like, how dare you sleep on your side?
That was it.
I told you you're not allowed. And this is also the first we as readers are reading this. We're like, wait, what the... Really?
You literally never said that. That we read.
Yeah, that we know about.
So, yes, because that's not... Yeah. And then they kind of start having it out. And she's like, what is your obsession with laying on your side? I don't understand you. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute. And then she, like, starts, like, fucking humping her pillow.
Yeah, she was like, oh, you're worried about... do this?
And then Kitty blows her fucking hot pink stack.
Well, Heaven, too, is just like, yeah, I heard you, loudmouth. Because she was just like, I'm fucking over this shit. Fair, but...
That's right, I heard you, loudmouth.
Psycho.
She is a psycho, so you don't want to do that. So Kitty, like, beats the shit out of her.
Yeah. Really bad.
And then... what did she say? She was like, I know where your siblings are.
Yeah, she says that she knows where Keith and RJ are.
And you have to burn your mommy doll, and then I'll tell you.
And Heaven's an idiot, and she was like,
well,
okay, fine.
Well, and she was like, she's like, don't make me, she's like, if you make me take it from you, I'm not going to tell you. You have to burn it of your own volition. So she does. And then
Heaven flips out, and she's like,
I wish you were in the fire.
And then Kitty, like,
I wish you were in the fire.
Beats her into unconsciousness.
Yes.
And they kind of drags her to her room and then has a party.
Drags her to her room. And when Cal's like, hello, she's like, Kitty went to a strip club.
Yep.
With her drunken friends. And she said you were having a nap. So I just was like, what the fuck are all these party naps? And where was Cal?
Cal, he said that, because when he like, got kind of a glimpse of how fucked up she was, because, like, her dress was torn, and it was like, that's why she was clinging to my side all night, because she didn't want me to go look for you. So then I wrote, and he's like, I wrote, fondle, ew, page 338. So he is just like loving on Heaven and being so fucking inappropriate. I wrote much to my surprise in quotes, because Heaven said, much to my surprise, he was like gently kissing my neck or something. Was he raining kisses upon her face? He may have been raining kisses to take away her pain, and she was like, I'm abused. Father figure, what can you do for me? And he was like, I could fondle. Yep. I could do a fondle. He's like, best I can do is fondle. And it's fucking gross, because she talks about her eyes swollen shut, she's got a sprained ankle. What you got? I wrote this page number. First of all, any sentence that I pick, I can see the paragraph I specifically wanted to talk about, but I just landed on, he was crying. Yep. And said, I wish you weren't just a beautiful child. Yep. I wish you were older. Yep. He also says that you look so beautiful in the moonlight. Much to my surprise, his lips were making a trail all around my throat, savoring the taste and feel of my flesh. She's afraid because it comes out like, first of all, but prior to this, she always hears Kitty rubbing up against him and then telling him no. Mm-hmm. So she's like, if I say no, I'm no better than her. Ugh. So here's the part that mine's covered in vomit. Still, I whispered, no. But it didn't stop him from kissing where he wanted to kiss or fondling where he wanted to fondle. Yep. Let's just... I summed that whole thing up with Cal, while crying, makes out with a beat-up Heaven and then gives her a watch. At the end of that shit, he's like, here's this gold watch I got you. To count down the seconds so you can leave this abuse. That now I am a full part of. That I am now a full fucking part of. Also, you can't ever wear it because Kitty will get mad. My kissy fondles. Ugh, and then it stops with, thank goodness, rubbing me around outside of my clothes, was enough for him. So sad, because she's like, he's my only friend, and if I turn him away, I won't have anybody. Ugh. I don't know if they... Sorry, this is my next note made me really laugh. Do they have some secret rubbins? Kind of on the DL, they kind of have a little secret relationship, but they don't fuck. I don't know. Do they fuck? I don't. Not yet. At some point. Spoiler alert. At some point, they do fuck. Okay, not yet. The next note I wrote was hamster soup tubby time. I wrote Jesus fucking chuckles. Ow. He's in my head a lot. Yeah, Will you tell the listener who Chuckles is? So Heaven, before, it's for some reason unseasonably freezing for May. It's unseasonably freezing in Heaven's Atlanta. Teacher was like, "Hey, you gotta take our." No, she says more than once, "I cannot take this animal." Yep. And he's like, "I guess it'll die." Yeah. There's a pregnant hamster in her science class or some shit, and he's like, "You gotta bring her home, and I'll send you home with a video camera in case she starts barfing out." And Heaven's like, "I can't. I really can't. My mom, my mother." Doesn't like animals. And he was like, I met her before. She seems so nice. She just seems so nice with those titties. Yeah, he liked your boobs. And she's like, I can't. And he was like, well, she'd probably die if she left her alone. And
So,
I'm going to be out of town.
I guess she'll die.
And no one else can do it. So even though you said you can't do it, you're the only one who can do it.
You're the only one.
So she
gets guilted again into something that she doesn't want to do.
And so she just, like, hides Chuckles downstairs.
Basement.
And she's like, hey, why don't you just, like... So she, like, greases her wheel, not metaphorically, so that it doesn't squeak when she runs around. And she, like, covers it up and makes sure that you can't hear the hamster wheel.
They get all the way to Sunday morning before the discovery. Perhaps, maybe, we don't know.
So she's up, and then Kitty's like, hey, why don't you go have a shower before...
Churches?
Before church.
Churches? Kitty goes to many different churches, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
As an aside, just as a casual aside, she sampled many religions. The end. Statement.
I think that's fine.
That is fine, but it's, like, kind of brought up that they go to churches, like, you know, Catholic, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, they just sample. I guess that's cool. To establish they have a religious schedule. A Pinterest?
A Pinterest.
So before the religious times, why don't you go hop in the shower?
Heaven's like, great. You seem to be in a great mood. This is cool.
Kitty has a migraine all weekend and sleeps away. That's right.
Yeah, and then wakes up Sunday and she's like, oh, I feel so much better. So when Heaven goes to the bathroom to get in the shower, she utters a blood-curdling scream. Because right in the tub, there's Chuckles.
Eviscerated.
With her guts coming out of her mouth and a trail of her babies coming out.
A trail of babies. It is
coming out her
hamster soup tubby time.
Yeah.
So she flips her shit, Heaven do. She, like, runs to get Cal, and...
who's just whistling in the shower for, like, 45 minutes.
Just whittling in the shower. And she's like, let me spill the whole tea for 22 minutes. So then there was this thing, there was a hamster, and I hit the hamster, and the hamster was here, and then he's like, what the fuck's happening? So they rush to the bathroom that Heaven uses, and it's all cleaned up.
There's
nothing there.
Clean as a whistle, they say.
Clean as a whistle. And she was like, do you mean that rat I got? Why do you want a rat? You're fucking gross.
And then she's like, why didn't Cal look in the trash to find the eviscerated hamster?
Because he loves titties.
And then Cal's like, you can't tell your teacher. Just tell the teacher that Chuckles died during childbirth.
Much like Heaven's mother did.
Ah!
Oh no, it's all coming back.
And apparently her science teacher is like, all right, and then gets another pregnant hamster named Chuckles and just replaces.
So I guess she didn't need to take Chuckles home.
She didn't fucking need to take
hamsters
Chuckles
just died. So that's that.
So Kitty starts having this mystery illness. She's just like, I'm headache, I'm sick. Blah.
Oh, I wrote down before we get there, hamster soup tubby time, and I said, honestly, Heaven just fuck Cal for survival.
I wrote Kitty has mystery illness, and the boning begins. Heaven is shooketh.
But before then, I was like, maybe she should just fuck him to survive, like, a couple years, months, because she's, like, almost graduated. Just make the abuse, like, as a refuge from the abuse. And then the quote, when that's the fucking start, the quote that Heaven said, which was, she's like, it's like, it's just happening. No one has any agency in their own actions. Things just happen. I didn't willfully twine my fingers in his hair. Oh, they're disembodied, these hands. They act without you commanding them.
I felt really bad about it because clearly this poor bitch is just so starved for love and just wants people to see her and appreciate her. And Kitty's abuse is so traumatic to her that, like, she thinks that it's an okay alternative to be, like, let this grown man sleep with her.
I wrote that, but then when it happened, I was like, oh no. Because I was like, maybe she should just fuck him for survival. Get through high school and get out. But then when it happened, I was like, oh, that was a bad idea. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen to you.
So, yes, I didn't write anything about the illness, but you did. So
yeah, because Kitty was just basically, like, catatonic. She just stopped talking.
She just, like, pieced out of her own
just,
brain.
like, staring at walls and stuff.
And Cal's like, yeah, let's fuck all the time.
And, like, Heaven was in her room, and she, like, heard some, like, French jazz music or some shit, Spanish, Latino.
Some Spanish French.
And
Tick, 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 tick.
she goes down, and, like, they almost make out, and then she's like, no! And she, like, runs to her room, and then she's like, shit! He's my only friend, he'll reject
Now I'm
me
just
now.
like Kitty.
And then she went back down, and then, yeah.
They had, like...
Even when he did the things that made the bed squeak. Yeah. So yeah, they're boning while Kitty's just like... She's in the hospital during this time. They brought her in
I
to
didn't
try
write
to figure
anything
out
for a long time.
Yeah, they tried to figure out what the hell was wrong with her because, like, Heaven was like, Cal? Should probably call the fucking hospital because Kitty was just, like, being crazy. So they start boning. Like, Kitty's in the hospital for, like, 2 months, and they're doing a bone and stuff, and Heaven's just basically thinking about it, like, polite payment for all he's done to her. For her. Oof, oof. Freudian slip. And, that's heartbreaking, y'all. So, they're like, well, we gotta do something for Kitty. We're gonna bring her to Winrow to be with her folks.
Her family is gonna step in for the care.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to Winrow, and I enjoy that she's like, it really was like a winner's row. Winrow. Now, Cal alludes to Kitty's upbringing as being traumatic. Mm. She has been abused. And
she has gotten the hot baths.
She's gotten the Lysol baths.
Mm-hmm.
She was handcuffed to a bed for having hot pants. Because she liked to... She was impregnated. God. We didn't even...
Neither of us wrote a note where that came up.
Because we were like, we're obviously going to remember this.
We didn't remember this. So the reason Kitty wanted to buy Heaven from Pa, Luke Casteel, if you will.
He impregnated her when she was 13-ish.
Yep.
And she gave herself an abortion.
She got herself an abortion.
I read gave.
I think she got one.
Okay.
But either way, yeah, like Luke got her all pregos, and he was like, come on, having your fucking... Nah, I'm not gonna be there for your stupid kid. That's not my fault that you got pregnant.
So she aborts and then couldn't have children.
Yeah, and like right after she aborts is like when he meets Lee. And then Heaven is born.
Yes. So in her twisted mind, she kind of goes a little crazy and is like, this is my daughter. Mm-hmm. And Cal's like, don't you see, Heaven? In her mind, you have replaced that child she aborted. So just play along for now. And she's like, that seems fucking great. So yeah. So when they get back to Winrow, at first, I don't remember the mother's name, Mrs. Dennison. And
Dennison.
Who cares? Mother Kitty. She is like, I think she also has red hair. But she's wearing green, and she's always like, and she was like, why does she wear hot pink? Redheads shouldn't wear hot pink, and puts her in like a drab thing, and puts her in pigtails, and Heaven's like, fuck that, that's not who she is, and puts her in like one of her hot pink like nighties, and like teases her hair real big, and does her nails and makeup, which is like, that's cool.
I thought it was nice.
It is nice. So at first, Heaven's like, oh, this is like a nice, like, respectable family. There's her parents. She has an older brother. Don't really talk about. There's Maisie. Maisie's a little fucking gossipy. She's like a little,
she's like 16 or something.
Chipmunk. Right? I don't know. So there's that happening. And they do more doctor-ins. And Heaven is like, oh, Kitty was like rambling about like having her tits cut off.
Reva.
She was like rambling about getting her tits cut off.
Yep.
And then Reva like pieces out, and Cal's like, she had a fucking mastectomy, and she doesn't like to talk about it. Mm-hmm. So she's like, so there's a family history of breast cancer. And she just wanted to ignore it because it was too upsetting because she fucking loves her titties so much.
Should we make sure that she doesn't
double check the whole breast cancer?
And they're like, but they looked her over with a fine tooth comb, and she's like, I don't care. There was a time she screamed and said there was a lump.
Yes, she was like, oh, I have a lump. It's fucking great. And then in this West Virginia mountain mama backwoods hospital doctor, and they're like, oh, we found a lump.
Yeah, they were like, when breasts are real huge like your wife's, it was like behind the nipple and they're really hard to find.
So she has breast cancer. Good luck.
Heaven runs into Logan like almost immediately when she gets back to Winterow. He's still dreamy, but she feels like a skank. Like she's just like, now I'm dirty. Like I ruined
She
myself
said,
for
I
him.
wrote, how the fuck does being used? She's like, said, my person is being used. And I said, how the fuck does being used equal trampy in Heaven's mind?
Because of her whole upbringing. She's just a scumbag Casteel. She like gave in to sex before marriage. Like she said that she wasn't going to. Pa hates her. Blah,
She
blah,
also
blah, blah.
didn't want to contaminate Logan with her sins.
Yeah.
And then I also wrote a familiar VC trope. She wishes to go back and say no
Yep.
to be pure for someone else. Ugh.
And she's like, I'm gonna go visit Fanny. And he was like, I'll walk with you. And she's like, no. And he's like, okay. And then he was like, hey, I'm just gonna walk with you. So they show up at the Reverend's house, and Fanny like cracks the door open with just like an eyeball, just like, nah. And she's a wicked bitch. But then she's like crying, and we're like, what the fuck's wrong with her? And then Logan walks her to the old folkies' home to visit Grandpa. And the lady behind the counter is like, I knew your mom. Like, somehow, like, everyone knows Heaven's mom.
Everyone's like, oh, I knew you, and I knew you because she was so refined.
I know, but, like, she was there for, like, 6 months.
She was there for 6 months, and everyone knew her.
Yeah, somehow. But, like, they didn't talk about it until, like, way after Heaven,
Right.
like, left and came back. Yeah.
And was like, oh, hey, girl.
Like, oh, my God, you look like your mom. Do you know I knew your mom? I don't think you did. Anyways.
Do you know your mom?
So she's walking... Front desk lady is walking up the stairs to bring Heaven to see Grandpa. And for some reason, while Heaven is walking behind this woman, this descriptive sentence comes in. The buttocks under that flimsy cotton dress seemed like twin wild animals fighting each other. I had to look away. And I am not really sure what that means or why we needed to know. I don't think that was necessary.
I think because we're looking at the world through Heaven's eyes, and Heaven's eyeballs are full of ass.
I know, but twin wild animals fighting each other?
Like 2 puppies in a sack.
No! Like, I'm worried about that woman's ass.
What are these shapes?
So Grandpa's up in this, like, stuffy hot room, but he seems happy enough. He's getting a little Looney Tunes, like, the rocker's there from the cabin, and, like, he keeps talking to Grandma, or Granny, a.k.a. Annie. Granny Annie. Like, she's still there, even though she's not. So she, like, has a moment where she's like, do you know where the little ones have gone? And Grandpa's mumbling, and she's like, why are you mumbling? And she gets frustrated and leaves, but, like, he's mumbling because he's a little Looney Tunes. Calm down.
He's a little Looney Tunes.
Yep. So she comes back.
Scotch.
She's a scooch. As she's leaving, Logan's still there waiting for her, and she's like, he's with this handsome dude. And it was like Hunky Tom. Tom's a big ol' hunk.
Ugh.
Well, no, she talks about him being handsome, not like he made her yearning sensation.
I feel you saying yearning sensation was like even worse.
You're the one talking about
I'm not.
11-year-olds. So when Heaven gets back to Kitty's folks' house, she's talking to Cal about her day, and she's like, ugh. And then Cal's like, oh, it must have been hard to, like, have your sister not talk to you and, like, see your grandpa crazy. Honk, honk a boob.
Honk, 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 boo.
And Maisie just opens the door and be like, hey, the casserole's ready, you guys.
Doesn't have a titty hump casserole on the menu.
And so Evan's like, shit. And then, like, later that night, she's, like, trying to think back about, like, what was the thing? Like, when did Kitty start acting fucking weird? Like, oh, it was that time that she, like, was up in the bathroom and screamed.
She's like, oh, I have a lump. They cut your titties off.
And then she, like, promised that she had gone to the doctor, but she probably hadn't.
Definitely did.
And Cal's like, but they went over with a fine-tooth comb. There was no... They checked her for literally everything. It's a mystery illness.
But these Winterow doctors, in the hills and hollers, I guess can find a cancer.
Yeah, where is this hospital there?
Cancer.
They don't talk about any surrounding towns' names.
There's like, are we going to Richmond?
I have no idea.
Who knows?
That's in regular Virginia,
I
isn't
don't
it?
know.
I don't.
Any Virginia town, Washington, D.C.
Hi, we're in Delaware. Yeah, so Cal's like, all right, like, I'll ask them to check for that, because we find out that it, like, runs in the family. Like, when they start bringing up the breast cancers, Reva, Kitty's mom, just kind of pieces out, and then Maisie's like, oh, because she got them cut off. Our grandma had one off. This person had one off.
You just have titties cut off.
Yeah, shit cut off, and then so Heaven's like, well, fucking, you gotta make sure she doesn't have breast cancer.
Everyone should have followed up on this information. This is all pertinent medical history. Pertinent.
So Cal's like, oh, I'm gonna make sure that they check it out. And lo and behold, when the doctors try to take her in for the overhead projector titty x-ray, Kitty just loses her fucking mind. It's just like, no, just let me fucking die. Eh! And we find out that she's been, like, faking this catatonic state for months. Months and months and months.
If you try to squeeze her titty, you know happy about it.
Nope. And they were like, it was behind her nipple and her boobs are real big, so we didn't know.
She got big titties. So...
And they're like, she's gonna fucking die. It's too late.
So put cancer in there.
And Heaven's like, I should probably talk to Logan. I need him to know. Like, I can't have him not know about this shit that happened. So she, like, goes to her mother's grave where she puts a rose into a jar that she buried there for whatever fucking nonsensical reason. And,
you can just put a flower on her grave, is what I'm saying.
You can.
Is she gonna change out the vase water?
I don't know. It was such a weird extra detail that was so unnecessary. And she tries to tell Logan that, like, hey, I got groomed and abused.
All I'm saying is that Logan literally and exactly knows that she was sexual with Cal. If they had... Okay, alright, let's play along here, Logan. Let's play along that you know that happened. But as long as Heaven doesn't tell you, you guys just get to pretend. So essentially, you both know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what's the same, the information is the same.
He doesn't want the details. He wants no details. He doesn't want to, like, have anything, like, more to, like, picture, you know?
No! No! It's about her purity. No!
I thought it was about, like, oh, God, I can't think about this girl that I've loved since I was 14.
Fine, maybe. But no! The point is, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
He knows there was sexual. He knows that happened. But as long as she doesn't say it, he can just fucking pretend. You know what, Logan? You can't fucking pretend everything. Life is life, and life happens, and we just have to deal with it.
I agree.
Sometimes your childhood sweetheart fucked someone else while you weren't together for 2 years, and you were free to fuck other people while she was sold into an abusive indentured servitude relationship.
That's the thing. He didn't know that yet.
I don't care.
I think it makes a little bit of a difference.
No, it doesn't. Even if she just went to live somewhere else, they were not engaged, they were not married. I feel like, didn't she try to write him?
Yeah, he wrote her back because his mom was hiding her letters and his letters that he was trying to send.
Were there pledges of commitment?
I don't remember.
We don't know. I'm saying this is where they would have been. You suss that out. Were you or were you not on a break?
I guess so. But like a break from being
Logan.
sold into servitude.
This, spoiler alert, listener, you there, on one bed in our one room, is where my fuck you Logan Stonewall begins, and I am carrying it into multiple books.
Okay.
You do not feel the same way.
This is going to be interesting.
Wolftown.
Yeah, anyways. So Logan runs away screaming, covering his ears and going la 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 la. And Heaven's like, well, that's fucked up. She goes to the cabin. She notes that there's a tiger poster on the wall, which, like, I lost my mind. I was like, there was a fucking... I made a note. There was a tiger poster in the cabin.
I didn't even recall. Again, I guess I just gloss over the details and I just go for the emotional gut punches.
That was a gut punch for me.
I got punched.
That they have open shelves and like no beds, but like Pa's like, I'm gonna hang out this
like a Rocky movie.
Sick poster. Yeah.
Sick.
So Heaven goes with Tom to go visit Grandpa again. And when they get there, they find out like Grandpa's not there because shit.
The lady with the confusing ass.
Yeah, the lady with the confusing animal ass is like, nah, your pa came and took him away.
Where's Pa?
And they're like, wait, what? And like, so they're running. And
Heaven's like, fuck that guy. And Tom's like, look, my life sucks ass, and I'm worked to the bone. I made everything up about like having someone to marry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take my chance with Paul.
I live in a gross house. The pictures I sent you were someone else's house. Like, I know, it was sad. And Heaven's like, ugh. So yeah, Paul just comes rolling back, and he's trying to make good, but Heaven is like, nah. So they show up at the hospital like moments after he left, like 15 minutes after he left or something. And he left a letter with Kitty just being like, I kind of sucked. Like, I hope.
Here's where I am. Here's where you can find me.
Yeah, I hope you come meet me. I have a new wife. Blah, blah, blah. My wife.
And Kitty's glowing because he apologized for her abortion, I guess.
He was like, yeah, sorry that I was a dick and you had to kill your baby and now you can't do babies.
Your insides are fucked up. Sorry about that. And she's like, I feel this is so good. And also here's an extra letter because we told him that your desire is to go to Boston and find your mom's family.
And so Pa's like, hey, I heard about this. I called and told him you were coming.
Ticket.
Here's a ticket. And then also, here's the address
name
and people name for the folks that adopted Keith and RJ. Who
bought Keith and RJ?
Right. What did I say?
You said adopted.
Oh, adopted.
Who purchased these children?
Meanwhile, Heaven did get a letter from the wife like earlier in the book with some pictures, and they did look a lot more healthy and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was this one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was one of the first letters she got after her new room, I thought.
Okay.
Because she was like, hey, your dad said.
Like some Olin Mills.
Yeah. Yes, some Olin Mills, yeah. So Heaven's like, all right, cool. Like, I guess I'll just fucking peace out and go to Boston because I can't be around for this shit. Like,
and Cal is like he's like mooning around while she packs. Like,
but being like, it's okay because like the doctors actually said that Kitty was like getting fine and like we should just try to work it out and like stuff. I'll take you to the airport.
The Winnerow International Airport. The jetport.
I also like, oh, I had 10 minutes before my flight, so I just, like, sat around figuring out what to do, and, like, scores of things happened, but, like, in 10 minutes pre-flight. Definitely a different time.
They were boarding?
So, Tom and Fanny come in, and, like, Heaven's kind of shocked to see Fanny, because Fanny would not see her. And then Fanny, like, rips open her trench coat, and she's like, look, I got a baby in me the Reverend put there. They're gonna give me 10 grand.
Like, pumped a baby in me.
Yeah. And Heaven's like,
oh, that sounds like a bad idea.
And she's like, no, it's fine. Let me get that money. And she's like, you sure you want to sell your
kid? I did write down, the last note I have for this book is, yes, Fanny, get that money, girl. I mean, Fanny sucks. She's going to be a shit mother. She wants to go to Nashville and be a singer.
She's the actual worst.
So she sucks. That baby's probably better off.
Oh, for sure. But
100.
Goddamn. Heaven just keeps being like, why am I related to these people? And Tom's like, yeah, I'm gonna move in with Pa. Like, you really should talk to him. Like, he's turned things around. Like, he's got a real job. He's not sick anymore. Blah 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 blah. And so Heaven's like, yeah, cool. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna see my grandparents. Bye. So she gets on the plane at Winnerow International
Jetport Arena.
Yep, domestic and
the Galleria of Jets.
It's huge. It's bigger than JFK.
So good. It's like a mall of jets.
And when she gets on the plane, of course, there's like a copy of Winnerow's newspaper.
4-page. She doesn't specifically know. It was small. Only 4 pages.
And then she's like, oh my God, this really cute picture of Kitty when she was like 16. Oh shit, it's her obituary. So like while Cal was like, she's getting better, the doctor said like Kitty was fully a corpse. And that's where the book ends.
Yeah, it just pieces out.
Yeah.
It's like, and then she flew. Oh. What would happen in Boston? buy the next fucking book.
Yep.
Done.
Yeah, we have done that.
Do. So many.
We have so many.
The fucking Willies. I just want to know why they're scumbags.
I don't know. Maybe it explains it, like...
It does not.
In the last book?
Okay, maybe.
Not the prequel last book, but, like, the last book. You didn't finish reading it yet. Maybe it throws it in there.
I don't know. Maybe the prequel.
I don't know.
So this was fun. It's a fun... Mostly because if you're doing what we're doing and going, you can definitely see that it was like, oh, here's the template of flowers.
Mm-hmm.
What can we... Let's just make it a little rednecky. Let's make it a little hillbilly.
Yeah,
Jazz it up.
It's really interesting. Like, I'm excited to read the different pods of books, if you will, to see, like, what other kinds of nonsense... Because it seems to be, like, privilege or, like, destitution. Like, there's only, like...
It is an extreme.
Yeah, it's like rich... Dirt rich or dirt poor. I don't know if you're dirt rich.
I got dirt.
Diamond rich and dirt poor.
There's... There's a coat rum that we won't talk about.
You already did. You really already did a lot, so you can't take it. You can't go back in time and make a different choice so that you can be pure for someone else.
I mean, thanks for listening.
Out of the cabin and into the fire. Thanks for listening to VC's Pieces podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
Technical support was provided by Boo and Matt. Thanks for answering all of my stupid questions.
Music is Dust on My Attic by Broke MC, used under Creative Commons license.
Email us at vcspiecespodcast@gmail.com with your thoughts or comments.
Hey, you can also follow us on Instagram. We are at VC's Pieces podcast.
New episodes are released every other Friday to give you time to read along. In the meantime, sell your family, touch your Tatterton toy, and try to scrub off the filth of being hill scum.